How's it going, laser bursters up? I'll be Sixkilla. Welcome back to the VII Enigma. This could be the last episode. I would guess that it's going to be the last episode, but who knows? We've used the Tempest machine now to save our crew's lives, but half of us still died trying to escape the facility. Or at least they're not dead, but they're captured. But they will be dead. You know what Beckett's like. He's a fucking nutcase. Anyway, let's carry on, shall we? Chapter 6, I believe. After spending a silent and tense journey in the car, the group arrives at a hideout in the back streets of a rundown western sector industrial area. Here we are. Slinging a pack off her shoulder to the floor, Mia leads the group to the workshop-like room. It's not much, but it's got everything we need. It's an old place that myself and Pfizer... Upon mentioning Pfizer's name, Mia pauses. The stark silence of the moment, and that which brought it about, makes a short time seem to stretch well beyond its finite container. Anyway, that doesn't matter now. Make yourselves comfortable. There's another room out back we can put the Tempest console in. Over the group hovers a melancholic atmosphere. Zyla, whose eyes appear glazed, is behaving particularly indifferent to their current situation. Wonder if she's blaming me for what happened to Ica and the others. Well, we can't just stand around all gloomy like this forever. Let's get it settled in. Elijah, help me haul in this machine. With great difficulty, Elijah and Amelia finish setting up Pandora's box in the corner of the back room. Man, that sure is much harder than it looks. Maybe Levi was more useful than I gave him credit for. A conflicted look crosses over Amelia's face. Sure is weird not having them here. Elijah's expression is strained, his cluttered voices and thoughts fill his mind. You sacrificed them to save yourself. You haven't changed. This is just like what you did before. Like when you sacrificed little Rhea. Elijah buries his head in his hands, the sudden outburst taking Amelia completely by surprise. Elijah? What's going on? Did we do the right thing? What do you mean? You know what I mean. Leaving the others to be captured. Did we do the right thing? We can undo it with the machine, like everything else. Amelia takes a moment as she stares at Elijah, then responds with a sense of solidarity. We did. It was the correct call, Elijah. How do you know? You already said it to Zyla. The utmost importance was to get Pandora's box out of there. If they found it, it'd be all over. We weren't going to get out of there as one big group. The diversion was the only way. Maybe. But doesn't it make you feel sick that we're the only ones that conveniently benefit? Look what it's done to us. What it's done to Zyla. Elijah again drops his demeanor, allowing the weight of his decisions to press heavily upon him. You sure are taken with her, aren't you? She sure is lucky. Elijah, let me tell you something about Zyla. That girl is way too caring, far too empathetic for her own good. Have you considered what she's going through all that time you were in that memory machine? She stayed by your side almost the entire time you were in there, even sleeping right there on that uncomfortable chair, just in case you woke up. 3 whole days she spent by your side. Did you ever stop to think about why she went so far for you? Not really. It's because she cares for you. Stupid. And she feels the pain of those she cares about in a deep way. It's the reason she's as strong as she is. She wouldn't have made it this far if she focused on herself all the time. Even now, she isn't distraught because she's having a pity party, but because she's tortured thinking about what they may be going through in Bosk's hands. Amelia is right. Zyla is always looking beyond herself. Enough with the overthinking everything, Elijah. Sometimes the best way to get through something is to forget yourself. It's your time to be there for Zyla, like she was there for you. Don't get so caught up in your own head. Now go, be there for Zyla and stop being such an idiot. She really has hit the nail on the head. Even in the past timelines, I was always so obsessed with everything I wanted that I couldn't see what I had right in front of me. You're right. I really am an idiot. Yep. I don't blame you for feeling like crap or beating yourself up. I don't have a clue what the crap you experienced in that machine, but dwelling on it any longer isn't going to help. Focus on her. You might find it'll give you clarity too. Thanks, Amelia. That's just what I needed to hear. Good. Now keep going. While Elijah and Amelia are having their conversation in the back room, Mia and Zyla sit slumped on the ground with their backs against the wall, having finished dumping their supplies on the floor. This really sucks, doesn't it? It does. I'm sorry about Pfizer. She was an incredible woman. She was. She was the closest thing I ever had to a mum. You gonna be okay? Probably not. For now though, I'll focus on completing the mission. It was her final wish, and what she gave her life for. I have to see it through to completion. I'll have plenty of time to process everything when this is over. You're so strong. I don't know about that. I'm just shunning it out of my mind for the time being. I always knew our mission with our mission we were playing with fire, that one day, one of us wouldn't make it back. Even though I tried to prepare myself for it, and Pfizer always spoke about the dangers of our missions, I somehow couldn't imagine this day coming. It's just surreal. This whole thing feels surreal, like a bad dream, like a nightmare. Zala clenches her fists tightly as the frustration wells inside of her. I know you want to rush in there and get them back. Hell, if it were Pfizer, I'd probably be mindlessly storming Boss Tower right now and getting myself killed. But we gotta figure out what to do first. You know that, right? Knowing that doesn't really make it easier. I can't stop thinking of what they might be going through in there. We need to do something quickly. Just give it at least a bit of time, until we settle down a bit and come up with a plan. We can't let Pandora's box be found, and we can't afford to be captured. Don't lose your head and forget that. We still have options. I guess you're right. I'm still pissed, though. I don't blame you. The sound of a door opening gets their attention as both Elijah and Amelia come back into the room. Pandora's box all set up? Yeah, all good there. Amelia peers over to Elijah with a look of expectation, one as if to prompt him into action. Zala, can we have a talk in the back room? Please? If I have to. Zala responds with a shortness in her speech as she gets up and walks briskly to the back room. You doing okay? What do you think, Elijah? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Use your brain, Elijah. Of course I'm not doing okay. I'm standing here in this room doing nothing while Ica and the others... Who knows what they're doing to them? Zala's fear spills over into anger as the helplessness of the situation sticks to her. I guess she is blaming me. I don't like this either. I just want you to know I only did what I did on Ica's orders. You tricked me, Elijah. Zala's disappointment causes a visible sadness to sweep over Elijah. I'm sorry, I just didn't think there was another way. He's the closest person to me in the world. An unabated emotion, Zala's voice begins to crescendo into a scream. He was always there for me. He never once turned his back on me, and you tricked me into running away when he needed me the most. In her anger, Zala hurls some metal scraps on the workshop table at Elijah, who dodges it just in time. No, this is all wrong. In exasperation, Zala turns her back on Elijah, facing the brick wall of the room. I don't know what to say. There's nothing you can say unless you can bring Ica back here right now. Nothing you can say is ever going to help. Without him, I'm just alone in this world. You're not alone. You have me. You? I've known you for a few weeks. How could you possibly replace my brother? The sudden and swift rejection by Zala causes Elijah to overflow with negative thoughts. Are you stupid? Why do you think she would want to be close to you anyway? Don't you remember what happened last time you got close to someone? It's no wonder. You're just the shadow of two other real personalities. They're all so bad though. Who even are you really? Elijah tries to hide the anguish that the chattering internal voices start causing him. No, this isn't about me. This is about her, just like Amelia said. I have to push past this. Zala, noticing the deteriorating situation between both of them, reaches her capacity. I just can't do this right now. With unbearable sadness painted upon her face, Zala storms out of the room, leaving Elijah standing alone in the silence. As he stands motionless in the room, he tries to regather himself, though he can't help but keep the conversation replaying through his mind. That wasn't the way it was supposed to go. Man, I really am such an idiot. No. No. You killed her. No, it wasn't me. Why did you do this to me, Elijah? I'm sorry, it wasn't... Didn't you love me? Won't you bring me back? I can't. Yes, you can. You have the power. Or did you never love me? It isn't that. Then what is it? If you love me, then you know what you have to do. Fix your mistake. What, go back in time and not kill her? That might be a good plan. Not killing her in the first place might have been a better plan, but you know. Elijah's world jolts as he finds himself on the hard floor of the workshop next to his sleeping bag. Looking around, breath heavy and still disoriented. He starts to make sense of his situation. It wasn't real. It was just a dream. He looks around to see the others fast asleep, and a glowing clock on the far side of the workshop signaling the time of 3:07 AM. It's just a dream. You could still take it back. No. Together we can correct our mistake. Get out of my head! With the Tempest machine, we can make all this suffering go away. Think about it. No, I shouldn't. As if possessed by another mind, Elijah gets to his feet and stumbles into the back room. Before him, Pandora's box threatens to spring open. What if it was all just a bad dream? With the press of a button, we can go back to it. This is just a dream? Yes, with the press of the button, this reality becomes the bad dream. No, that's not right. It could cost millions, maybe even billions of lives if I go back that far. I can't live with that. You won't ever remember any of this. You won't have to live with anything, and you can undo your sin. You owe it to her. We both owe it to her. But do it. Don't you understand what you've done? You can have your life back. We can have her back. You can't get Rhea back, but we can get Tarah back. It just takes one simple message. I do have that message of 2043 already prepared from earlier. If we send it now, it would change the timeline completely, all the way back to 2043. I could go back to Tarah. Wait, if we go back to Tarah, doesn't that give us the same chaos ending as we got last time? I mean, obviously we're not meant to do that. So let's do it. I'm curious to see how that goes. Save Tarah. Yes, this is the only way. I've messed everything up with Xyla, so we have no hope of destroying the Tempest system. This reality is where we're about to get killed. We've reached the end of the road. It's time to finally wake up from this nightmare and return to it. Obviously this is going to be a bad end, but I'm curious because this should effectively be the same ending as the Chaos ending because we're just sending the message back to 2043. So it should all play out the same way. With a minor alteration to its prepared message, Elijah brings 17 years worth of reality folding back in on itself. You gotta pick the one you know is wrong, right? I just want to see what's gonna happen. It's just gonna be a straight up dead end, like a bad end. It is the same Chaos ending. An aged Elijah stands overlooking a partially abandoned city, in a spot very familiar to him. He doesn't know what it is about this location that draws him to it, but he finds a sense of clarity and nostalgia every time he does. Unlike the other times, he has come on this occasion with purpose. He sits down and takes out a weathered photo and places it next to him, staring at it wistfully for some time. Then he pulls out a notepad and a pen and begins to write the words he's been avoiding for many years. So this is slightly different? September 14th, 2091. This is my final confession, my parting words to this world, of all I have kept hidden. Many years ago I received a very unusual message. Though most would know it as the message that saved billions through the vaccine it carried. There was only one thing that stuck with me throughout all these years. One thing that has altered me in my life from that point on. It was two simple words. Cherish Tarah. I spent many long years pondering just what my future self meant by these words, and just what had happened to him that prompted him to include them. Surely something must have happened, some regret he wished me to fulfill in his place. Those two words resonated more deeply than I could comprehend. I never let those words out of my mind. Even throughout all of the death and chaos that the pandemic rained down on us, and even throughout half of the world's population being decimated through our ill-prepared response, there was one thing that alleviated my guilt in the role I played. It was to cherish her, and each moment we shared together. Unfortunately, our happiness was not to last, for she was taken from this world much too soon. Was this what was meant by those two words? Did my counterpart from the future know our time together would be limited, and it would end in tragedy? Yet even for all the heartache I had to live with for these years since, I do not regret it, for they were the brightest of all my days. Even though I've had to live my life since in that shadow, I have still lived by those two words, cherishing that time, even though she has departed. I was instructed in that initial message to steer the world away from a future in which many were saved but all freedoms were lost. I haven't spoken the full truth until this letter, which shall be my last upon this earth. I've kept it secret, but now at the end I must come clean. I'm responsible for their deaths. I was aware of another path, but I heeded these words in the message I had received. These are my sins. Although I've lived with much guilt, to change it would mean to have to change my life with Tarah. I didn't know if I'm just a selfish man at heart, but though I have lived in deep sadness for many years, I'm not sure I could say I would change any of it. To do so would mean I would have to violate these two words and regret my actions through these times. To those who come after me, I hope you'll navigate the world to a better future. If there is one thing I know is right, it is to cherish what we have while we have it. For anything can be taken, in fact, everything will be taken at some point. We leave this world as we come into it. Cherish the ephemeral to touch the eternal. I don't know how history will remember me as the hero or the villain. Perhaps it's most accurate to say I'm both. My sincere hope, however, is that you look at my life and learn from it. This is the truth of my life, of who I am and what I have done. These are my final words. My life is about to come to its end. Consider my story and make the future a better one. Elijah Shaw. That is quite a bit different then, and it's definitely better than the Chaos ending. I mean, for the world, it's just as shitty. But for Elijah specifically, it's better. Alright. I'm not sure I can skip this. I'll bring you back once we're back into that choice. Alrighty, time to say no to the voice like we know we should have done in the first place. No, you know, our endings are getting progressively better. Very small amounts, but you know. No. I can't. I won't. Isn't it what you want? It doesn't matter what I want anymore, I'm not doing it. Don't you owe it to her? I said no. I can't be so self-focused forever. And I can't keep looking backwards forever. That attitude is what caused me to lose my way in this timeline to begin with, and end up losing my mind. I have to stop history repeating itself. Time stopped ticking for me on the day when he made the most terrible of mistakes. That's a legacy that I've now inherited, something I'll never truly get over. But even still, to stop history repeating itself, I have to learn to look beyond those mistakes. This is bigger than me. Duh, it's taken this long to figure that out? Everything that's happened, it's up to me to take that knowledge and carry it forward. Even if everyone else has forgotten, I still remember everything from those timelines. I owe it to them all to make something out of this mess. It's time to look to the future I must create, to who I have to be. I can't truly change what has already occurred. Even the temper system can only create new loops, while with those changes only ever come more unintended consequences. I can't keep thinking I'll be able to change the past to create the perfect outcome. That doesn't exist. It's a foolish delusion. It's time for me to accept what has happened. It's time to move forward, to allow the clock to begin to tick for me once more. Rather than try to change the past, I have to learn to change myself. I have to learn to be someone Rhea and Tarah can now be proud of. Elijah then shifts his demeanor as he postures to speak to the chattering internal voice directly. Do you get it now? Your annoying pestering is no longer needed. Now be quiet. I don't want to hear from you again. The internal voice ceases its questioning as he is met with a tranquil stillness and a sharp contrast to his turmoil just moments ago. Elijah waits a few more moments, waiting for a mental clutter that never eventuates. Finally, some quiet. Elijah spends a while sitting on the cold workshop floor, pondering his strange journey in the still hours of the early morning. While I'm awake now and I doubt I'll be able to get back to sleep, I may as well get stuck into my work. Elijah switches on the Tempest machine and continues the task to find a seemingly impossible solution. For the first time since his journey began, Elijah moves forward with a sense of clarity. Good. So far, so good. February 8th, 2060. They're going to shoot those people on the 10th, right? The next morning, the four help themselves to breakfast at staggered times. Barely a word between them has been spoken, as a palpable tension fills the space. Eventually, Amelia breaks attention. It's always Amelia who breaks attention. This is so weird without them. Normally, Ika would step in at moments like this and know just what to say, to refocus us on our mission. But they aren't here. The mention of their missing comrades adds to the weight in Amelia's words. Guys, I know we may not feel like it, but we need to honour Ika's orders. We have to honour what Pfizer gave herself for, to why Ika, Jasper and Levi all allowed themselves to be captured. It was so we could complete our mission. It was so we could take down Bosk once and for all. A brief silence falls before Mia affirms Amelia's gesture. You're right, Amelia. This is all that matters now. We need to decide our plan from here. Zala gives a simple nod in reply. Do you think the Bureau will find us here? I'm sure they've ramped up their surveillance by now. Probably. No matter what, there's no escape for us. We have to be realistic about this. In the past, we only stayed off their radar by remaining in the shadows and not poking the beast too much. Now that we have, it's just a matter of time. How much do you think that'll be? That'll definitely have an impact on our plans. We came in at night, so there's a chance we weren't initially spotted. If we're lucky, we may have a couple of days before they track us here. That's the best case scenario, really. They could show up at any time. We only have enough supplies for that time too, and not much else. In that case, it looks like I'll try to come up with a device to disrupt all Tempest communications in only a few days. Do you think you could do it in that time? No, it's practically impossible. Last night I spent a long time working on it. I still don't even know if it's theoretically possible, let alone finding a way to get it working in only a few days. For the first time this morning, Zala speaks up, sounding unusually in a monotone voice. What if you use the machine to send a warning back in time? We could stop what happened to Pfizer as well as Iker, Jasper and Levi getting caught. The idea causes a hush of silence as they all think it through before Elijah responds. I've been thinking about that quite deeply for a while now. I need my memories to work on this new device, so we can't send a message that risks changing that event from occurring. Slipping through Bosk's fingers, up until that point, was like threading a needle, and any little alteration is likely to change the outcome. After that, the only time Pandora's box was switched on and synced to the Tempest field was after we finished the transmitter. It was only an hour before they stormed the facility, which is when we got the warning message from the future. Exactly. Whatever timeline that was from, they must have made the same deduction. But we could elaborate the message, give a better warning message and a plan of escape. We could try it, though Pfizer said she was the source of the tracking. That means no matter what, we can't avoid her getting tracked down by Bosk. Wherever she goes, they'll find her. I know what you're saying is true, but it's so tempting to at least try to change the past. To get it back. You never know what could happen if we just had a bit more information, like Zala said. Yes, but we also don't want to risk getting caught next time. It was almost a miracle any of us got out at all. At least now we have a chance to save the others. We can't be sure we'll have that chance again if we change the past. With all the differing opinions in the group, Elijah decides to... we shouldn't send a warning to the past. Because he's right, there's no real window for that. Let's just look for another way forward. I don't think this will get us to an ending. It'll just be a dead end. We don't know if the changes we make will work out for the better or the worse. That is, if we could even change the outcome at all. I think the risk is too big. Elijah, I'm sorry Zala, I want to save Iker and the others too. At least now we stand a chance. They're still alive, as are we. It's possible for us to save them. As much as I hate to say it, I think it's the only option to take from here. It's so tempting to go back and try and save Pfizer. I'd give anything for that chance, but I have to be real about it. For her, the outcome was fixed the moment Beckett injected her with those damn nanomachines. That isn't an event that looks like we have the ability to change. The group pauses as they allow the finality of Pfizer's passing to sink in. Before this, there was always the lingering hope that it could somehow be reversed, though it's become clear that that's not possible. Amelia walks over to Mia and places a comforting hand on her shoulder. I'm sorry, Mia. I get this is looking pretty bleak, but this is the best among some pretty crappy options. Okay, there seemed to be some agreement of sorts. If we aren't going back to change things, what can we do from here? What's the plan? If we're going to get caught by Bosk in the next few days, whatever we do, we have nothing to lose to attempt to rescue Iker and the others before the deadline. Yeah, if we're doomed to be caught, we might as well go down fighting at this point. In that case, how about we do this? For the next several days, I'll try to build a device to disrupt the Tempest system. While I do that, the rest of you can plan a way to storm Bosk Tower and rescue the others. Sounds like the right idea to me. We'll have a few days to prepare then. Right. I'll see if I can get some more fighters to join us from the upcoming uprising. They're all dead, like our original plan before Bosk stormed the facility. That works for us, but a few days is a pretty short deadline for you, Elijah. Do you think you'll be able to finish the device by then? No. Nope, it's basically impossible, but it won't stop me trying. Well, at least you're honest. Looks like we're all going to go down fighting. True. I've seen strange things happen in other timelines. Though we almost certainly won't succeed, there's no point in holding back now. Whatever the outcome, it seems obvious that what we have to do from here. And at least we can be content knowing we did everything we could. Right. A serene stillness fills the room, as the calm of the inevitable storm to bring about their journey's end. Outside the detention block in Bosk Tower, Beckett meets with Lionel to give his report. I take it you extracted information from the prisoners? Yes, so it wasn't easy. They're proving quite stubborn still. I'm not sure they've told us everything. Yes, they do seem firm in their beliefs, however flawed their convictions may be. This will soon be a problem of the past, fortunately. So, Agent Beckett, what did you learn? It was hard to discern much of their speech, due to their struggle against our techniques in your machine. One thing we learnt was their purpose in extracting Dr. Shaw. It was so they could get him to build them a device. A device, I'm guessing that'd be a Tempest machine then. Guess they think they could change the timeline. If only they captured Dr. Shaw and got them to build him to build them one. A foolish plan to be sure. Dr. Shaw has no memories, both on your account, and on indications sent to us from the last timeline through the Tempest system. I know well how that plays out. I agree, it does seem to be a pathetic plan if that's all they have. Anything else? They repeated the words "the founder" several times, but each time they'd managed to resist saying any more. Do you know anyone who goes by that title? No, sounds like a pathetic rebel speak to me. Whatever they planned, the whole Tempest system pales in significance compared to the Aeon system. If they think our weakness lies in the Tempest system, they'll be sorely mistaken. Right, do you think we're giving them too much attention? My attention to them isn't because I view them as a threat. No, this is poetry. Poetry? Yes, indeed, there is something poetic about the ephemeral being there to greet the arrival of perfected humanity. There is something sublime about Dr. Shaw, who even in his ignorance was used to give birth to something greater than he could comprehend. Yes, even in his ignorance he was chosen as a primary instrument to close the curtains in the old humanity. Much like in my ignorance I was chosen as a vessel to open the curtains to perfected humanity. Yes, this indeed is poetry. And so it should be at the dawn of all great eras. The universe started with a bang, and planets are given life by celestial impacts. These were heralded events. So it is fitting that I should stage the upcoming epoch with a grandeur worthy of the event, so that the forces of the universe that watch on may do so with glee. For why else would things align so perfectly at this precise moment? Yes, it was so that we might attend to it in fitting fashion. Lionel's impassioned speech again brings a speechlessness over Beckett as he sees a demented glint in the eye of the one opposite him. It's fucking rich coming from Beckett to see someone else as demented. Yes, sir. I think Beckett's one of the most fucking demented antagonists ever. Beckett replies awkwardly, still not knowing how to respond, which was a rare occurrence for one with his skill set. Rest assured, Beckett, if you complete your final mission, you will be greeted as one of the set apart few to oversee the coming era. At that time, I will make all things clear. So ensure they are brought here at that appointed time. That is all. That is your final hurdle. Succeed, and you will have attained your long-sought promotion. I won't fail you this time, sir. Beckett backs away and leaves the detention block, a foreboding sense covering his body like static electricity upon the skin. Late in the evening, Elijah walks into the back room to find Zyla sitting alone in the darkness. Sorry, I was just coming back in to work on the device a little more. Zyla stares blankly at Elijah in response. Can we talk? Guess so. No point dragging this out. Elijah decides to break the tension in the air in the most direct way he can. I really didn't mean to trick you, you know. Yeah, I know. I imagine I could probably put you up to it, yeah? Well, I think we've already said as much, but yeah. Yeah. It's so frustrating. He just went off without so much as a word. I didn't get to say goodbye or anything. If something happens to him, don't say stuff like that. You'll see him again. I'll make sure of it. It's so gut-wrenching to see her like this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring you down. I just brought it up because I need to tell you that I didn't mean to hurt you. And that I'm sorry. It's okay. If I'm honest with myself, I know it was probably the only way, and I could put you up to it. I just hate it. I hate this whole thing with Bosk. I hate that it's taken Iker and put us both in this stupid position. It's just all wrong. Yeah, we're in a pretty pathetic situation here when you think about it. The two fall silent in contemplation. I didn't mean it, by the way. Didn't mean what? Those things I said about you trying to replace Iker. I know that isn't what you meant. I think I was just taking my anger out on you. You were telling the truth, though, I suppose. I guess we haven't known each other long. I can't really blame you for feeling that way. I don't feel that way, though, really. We may have only known each other for a few weeks, but I guess a lot can happen in a few weeks. She's probably just saying that to make me feel better. Still, at least she's talking to me normally again. That's for sure, it's been a very crazy time. Sorry for taking it out on you anyway. That wasn't okay. You don't need to be sorry. I should have told you what was happening. Well, we can't change any of it, so we should just focus on what we can do to get the pack. Right, let's move on. The two stand somewhat awkwardly for a short while before Zyla relays a question long been circling in her mind. You know, you never told us what you saw in the sync machine. Yeah. Elijah's eyes grow hazy in response to Zyla's comment. You don't have to tell any of us if you don't want to, but it may help if we're aware of what you saw in there, both for you and us. I know, but I just don't know if I can bring myself to speak about it. Was it that bad? It was. It was much worse than I imagined. Because of what happened to you? That, but more so because of what I did, who I was, what I became. What did you become? can't bring myself to talk about it yet. Zala thinks deeply on his words before responding with a simple but jarring comment. Then just don't worry over it then. I wasn't expecting you to respond like that. Why do you say that? Well, it wasn't you to begin with, it was somebody else. I'm not sure that's entirely true. It's also not untrue though, is it? A person standing before me may be made up of elements from those past versions, but Jasper said it himself. You're a unique person, a different personality. Whatever you learn about those other versions of yourself doesn't change the person I see before me. Honestly, I'm not so sure. To think but for a few changes of circumstance that I would become that. Isn't that true for everyone though? Who knows what kind of a person any of us could be, but for dynamics outside of our control. Who knows who I would have become if it wasn't for Ica showing up for me on that day, showing me true courage and kindness. It changed my path completely. I know you had to experience it play out firsthand in that machine and how devastating it must have been, but it doesn't change the fact of who you really are, or the fact that I admire the person I see before me. She really is special, seeing the good even in someone like me. I really don't deserve it. I'm not too sure whether she'll feel that way if you tell her what you did. I don't think I deserve to be admired. Even if it wasn't me who did those terrible things, it was done with this body. I have to take responsibility. Why should you be responsible? I said it before, you're your own person. Is a child responsible for their parents' sins just because they share their DNA? You were born out of a doctor, Elijah Shaw, but you're your own person. Just because you share his DNA and were born of him doesn't mean you're responsible for his sins. I really do appreciate the sentiment, Zola, but I resolved that I wasn't going to run away from the truth any longer. I will take responsibility and spend my life making up for it. I can't keep beating myself up, I know that. I have to move forward, but I also can't deny my responsibility either. Zala looks with caring eyes upon Elijah before shifting her tack in response. Well, as long as you're kind to yourself, that's enough for me. I don't need to know what happened in there, as long as you can move forward. All you need to do is focus on building this machine from here on. Who you are will be defined by what you do from here, not what you saw in there. Right, but I don't even know if I can build this machine though. Why couldn't you? I experienced what the past version of myself went through to create his miracle. The amount of suffering, the years of isolation and torture. Everyone wants to be a hero, but no one understands what that really means. It took all that pain to drive him to finally complete his device, along with the sacrifice of an only child. I know firsthand, miracles are paid for in blood. Only child? If it took all that sacrifice over all those years just to create the transmitter, how am I to complete this device in only a few days? It sounds like there's way more to this than I could ever understand. Just don't give up so quickly on the idea, Elijah. Not yet. The device you're building now may not be as hard to build as the other one for all we know, and history doesn't always repeat itself. We don't know what this timeline will hold for us. We have to believe we have at least a chance. I won't give up, I promise you that. I've resolved to do all I can and see this through to the very end. I just don't know how I can live up to what he did. Who says you're not going to do greater things than both of those timelines? Having experienced both of them, you're in an even more experienced position than anyone else could dream of. Nobody else has been able to compare experiences from different timelines. Look at this as an advantage rather than a hindrance. Sounds good when she puts it like that, but I'm not sure how much there is to learn from the hell I experienced in there. I'm not sure it's so simple. Let me ask you this then. What do you want from your life? Why the jump in topics? Answer the question. What do you want from your life? You're not going to know how to move forward confidently if you don't know what you want. You've seen firsthand different timelines play out. I would have thought that would make what's important in life clear. What I wanted has already been taken away from me. Elijah? Well, if you can't get back something from the past, you're just going to have to look for something new. Think about what you have now. What's important to you? Elijah searches his mind for an answer before arriving at his response. If there's one thing I've learned, it's not to forget the value of the people you have in your life. Time can be cut short, people completely erased, then all you're left with is to regret your actions, to regret the wasted time, to regret not savouring those moments along the way, now that they're no longer with you. If there's one thing I want to be, it's someone who enjoys the time spent with those I care about. To live with my eyes open, to stay present, to enrich the lives of those I care for. Life is too short to be self-absorbed, to beat around the bush, to ignore what's in front of you. Elijah moves closer to Zyla as a revelation appears to embolden his actions in a way that he hadn't experienced before. Who do you mean? You've been with me since the beginning. Your kindness, your courage, your concern, your strength. I've never seen anything like it. Not across any timeline. Your care for others comes from a place of strength like I've never seen before. Elijah looks deep into Zyla's eyes, with not a hint of wavering or falsehood. A resolute sense Elijah used to be lacking has now grown into full bloom. I wouldn't be where I am without you, Zyla. I feel drawn to you in a way I can't explain. I want to fight for that. I want to create a future to enjoy, one not dominated by mere survival nor control, one spent truly living with you by my side. That's what I want. That's what I want to fight for. Zyla leans in close to Elijah, drawn forward almost by a power unexplainable. Their cheeks draw close as Zyla's hair brushes gently against Elijah's skin. Slowly, Zyla turns her head as their lips meet in a slow, passionate kiss. The weight of their experience, their shared pain and loneliness, their unabated desire, they all connect in this moment, conveying a truth to each other that no amount of words would ever be able to. Their hesitation, their fears and their doubts, all that kept them apart dissolves away completely as they linger together in these fleeting, yet timeless moments. Eventually, the two draw apart as Elijah keeps a soft and steady gaze upon Zyla. Elijah, I'm scared. I don't want this to be the end. Me either. So let's make sure we survive, that we get out of the tower alive. I have a promise to keep, remember, when this is all over. We're going to go on that trip together, back to the snow. So let's make it happen. That's what I'm fighting for. A life with you beyond all this. Elijah leans back in as the two spend the precious moments together, savouring every touch, every sensation, every emotion, and the knowledge of the upcoming journey's end, and the fragile hope for something beyond it. And we're going to have to wrap this episode up here because we are very much out of time now. So we've at least got one more episode yet to go. But the end is nigh. I don't know how this could possibly turn out well, but I mean, it's got to have a good ending, right? It doesn't seem like a cynical game in the long term. You know what I mean? It seems like it's building to a happy ending. I'm going to be disappointed if it doesn't anyway. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks again out for me, and I'll see you in the next one.